The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
We are back, Bronx Roots, with Michael Preminger and David Hubler. I'm Ralph Tycho with the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and the three of us get together every week and just have a good time reminiscing, looking ahead, and enjoying each other's company. So, how are you guys doing this morning? I'll start with David Hubler.
Oh, fine. We had guests over the weekend, my brother-in-law and his wife, and that was why I alerted you that I might be a little late because we went out for brunch, but there was no problem.
Good that you got back for that one.
Yeah, they're on their way back home now. So. Mm-hmm.
And Michael, what's going on with you? You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just, I've been very much thinking since yesterday about the demise of women's hats. Well, because I was watching the Kentucky Derby and all those lovely hats women wear, and they don't wear them anymore except once a year.
The Easter parade.
I'd like to go to the park and see women wearing hats, even if they're just in, leggings and a sports bra. I think it would be a nice look.
Yeah.
Well,
not a baseball cap necessarily, but
yeah, baseball cap. No, a real nice hat.
Mrs. Trump caused not a stir, but she did arouse some newsprint by wearing that hat with the president of France and his wife when Mrs. Macron was bareheaded, and she wore this big white hat. So, yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, men don't wear hats either anymore.
No.
That's
the one thing. You look at film from even the 50s, and
yes.
Men at the ballparks are wearing hats.
Absolutely, and shirt and ties in large measure too.
That was wherever they go in those days. You get on the subway, you go shopping, you'd be well dressed, and that
exactly. I think if not hats, at least bring back earmuffs.
Yeah, well, certainly in the winter, yes.
Yes.
I hated hats when I was a kid and earmuffs and all, because I'd always be losing them. You get the interaction with Mother Dearest, Mommy Dearest.
Yes.
The clips fell off my mittens, and oh my God, I must be a horrible son in the entire world. Because mittens don't grow on trees, by the way, young man.
And they cost money.
That's right, and it didn't matter how much money you have. Those were days when you paid for everything with cash.
Sure.
It was a different way of a different economy and a different mindset, because all of our parents were coming out of Depression years, or either growing up in those years, and money was the focus, and I don't know if we happen to be three Jews, and we're happy. I found out we're the three Jews that don't own a bank.
Speak for yourself,
Ralph. Listening, it's not us.
Right.
It's not us individually, but Jews and the Scots and
the war hats.
They have reputations as somewhat conservative with their bucks, and rightly so, because...
How did you skip over to that? I thought you were going to continue with... Yeah, I mean, I thought you were going to continue with the hats.
I have my seatbelt on. I don't know.
It's going to be a bumpy ride. Betty was...
I want to say, seatbelt on.
In the 30s... If you look at the movies from the 30s and 40s even, the women did wear hats, but they were the ugliest looking things.
Yeah.
Pillbox kind of hats.
Well, that was the Jackie Kennedy hat, but the earlier ones were really awful, as Michael said.
Some of them look like yarmulkes that had a bad night.
Yeah. Or had exploded on the head.
Yeah, right.
I had two grand aunts, so my mother's aunts, and they whenever they would go downtown on a Saturday, that would be their thing, to go downtown, and they dressed to the nines. I mean, they had hats, long gloves, and sometimes even I remember the hats had those little veils on them, and they went downtown. You know, for no particular reason in many cases, just to go down and look at the store windows on Fifth Avenue or whatever, have lunch and then come back. But they always were dressed, always. And that's how women were in those days. And even today, I mean, I find it really surprising. We go to one of the theaters here periodically in Washington, and while I don't put on a suit and a tie, I mean, you know, I don't come in there in a T-shirt and shorts either. But it's amazing how many men will go to the theater, even the Kennedy Center, and you just look like they just, you know, rolled out of bed or came off a soccer field.
Kennedy Center. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's true. I know. I think it's just it's just part of the times. I mean, I wouldn't wear. You know, in my office, periodically, they'll announce, tomorrow's jeans day. You can wear jeans to work. Well, I've never worn jeans to work. Unless I was on a construction crew, which I've never been.
Right,
you know, I don't find that a perk to wear jeans to work. I didn't even wear jeans. Did you wear jeans in high school?
Jeans are my dress pants to clean.
Well, you live out there in California, so you know.
That's true.
That's
horrible, but blasphemous. We're all just breaking convention.
You know, when we went from junior high school over to high school Clinton, you couldn't wear jeans in junior high school in '80. Pearl Thaler, one of her edicts was no jeans. So nobody.
I don't even remember.
Oh, we wore pants, slacks. You know,
did you wear corduroy in the wintertime?
Yes, corduroy in the winter.
And they'd squeak. You'd walk down and it would squeak and make you feel like a geek.
Yeah, I know. They were not comfortable. And on Thursday or Friday, whatever the assembly day was, you were supposed to wear dark blue trousers, and so you had to have a pair of dark blue corduroy for the assembly, because Thaler would throw you out if you didn't write But my point was that when I went into high school, you could wear jeans in high school. And my mother made sure that I didn't have one single pair the whole time I was in high school. She hated those things, and I probably wouldn't have worn them anyway. I have a couple of pair here now that I wear putting around in the house, but and they become real. I mean, they have become almost like dress pants.
Yeah,
Michael, how many times have you gone into a meeting and they're sitting around in jeans?
I'd like to answer that, but I haven't been to a meeting in years. But I really haven't. But I would always, if we did go to a meeting, I would wear, I don't know, dress pants or chinos or maybe a sport jacket. And then I was always overdressed.
Well, yeah.
And you'd be sitting across from somebody in jeans, and you go, why did I, it's...
Well, I always excused it. Go ahead.
At funerals show up like...
Yes.
Like just rolled out of bed. That's so disrespectful.
I know. I just found... Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I saw the dead body actually get up and walk out. It was
So many people were disrespectful that he decided not to go through with it. I believe.
Hey, listen, if you can't please the dead body, I mean.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's called raising the dead, believe me. That's
yes. And then you could put it off, in a sense, you could put it off on the dead body for not making his or her needs known. At my funeral, I want you to dress the fuck up.
You know, something as strange as that might sound, I really feel that I want to tell my kids, my grown children, to if they have any kind of funeral for me, to tell the people exactly that. Don't show up if you can't dress. And I know some people may say, well, the hell with it. Yes, good. Because I really feel that way. Isn't that strange? You're gone, but you want to know that people dress.
You know, this really goes along with the theme that I wrote down today, and I'll tell you why. The theme that I wrote down, we were going to talk about embarrassing moments. Now, here was one of mine. I'm in New York visiting. It's November, and I was at a point in my life where I wore boat shoes with no socks. Just basically everywhere I went. I was, a comedian. I was ne'er-do-well, this, that, and the other thing. So I'm in New York, and my brother's in-law passes away. And I just happened to be in New York. I didn't want to do this, but they invited me to the unveiling. And I had no socks. I'm sitting in the unveiling in boat shoes and no socks. And it was just like, I felt just like you were talking about, so embarrassed, so out of place to be there that even though it was a woman who didn't particularly like me in life, I saw the irony in that, but it was embarrassing for myself.
Yeah. Well, I have a no sock story too. Strangely, when I was doing work for Voice of America and reporting on Americana features, our offices were downtown in D.C. So the morning that I was scheduled to interview the editor-in-chief of USA Today, and their building was in Roslyn, Virginia, which is just across the bridges from the district. But that morning, at that time in my life, I was a runner. So I was running it was a wonderful race. It was only about a 3-mile run around West Potomac Park, and it involved only members of the press, members of the legislature, and I think members of the judicial. So you'd run against Max Baucus, the senator from Montana, even several of the senators and congressmen. Anyway, so that was early in the morning before I went into work, and it was in the park right near our offices. So I brought my stuff to change in, and I packed it in a bag, and I went to the race, and everything was fine, and I came back to the race, and I showered and shaved, and I realized as I was getting dressed that I didn't bring another pair of socks. I had no socks all I had was this pair now kind of wet sweat socks. And they wouldn't go over my dress shoes. Because I was going into this interview, this medium-high level interview. I mean, the guy was the editor-in-chief. I think he was the founding editor-in-chief, in fact. So I took off for my interview early, and I went and I started going around. And this is a discovery I made at the time. I went around. There were no men's clothing stores anywhere near me. Excuse me. So I couldn't go in. In fact, the one men's store I went into was like for ties, and they didn't have socks. So I went from store to store. I even went into some grocery stores thinking, well, maybe they, they might have. But what they did have, what all of these places had, do you remember when they used to sell women's stockings in this egg-shaped thing? It was called legs.
Yes, absolutely.
And they were all over the place.
Woolworths, at places like Woolworths.
Right. Everywhere we went, you could find it. Even in the movie theaters, you could find people going into the movies without stockings. So I actually had to go into this interview without any socks on. And I was sort of pushing my pants down as far as I could to cover, where the cuff met the shoe. It was very embarrassing, although he never sort of noticed it, I guess. Maybe he did, just didn't say anything. But, it's one thing if you go in loafers. Even that's not particularly cool when you go into an interview with somebody. But I had lace-up shoes on. So it was doubly embarrassing. And no socks. Yeah. So it was very embarrassing. And that's when I discovered that women can buy stockings anywhere. Maybe because they're always running. They always have those rips in them.
Yeah, right,
But for a man, you got to go to a special haberdashery shop. Like what's the name of that? The big chain that's all over the place.
Men's Warehouse.
Yeah, Men's Warehouse or Joseph A. Bank or one of those places. But there were none there. There were none there. But, women could walk into a bakery, and there's a rack of I'll take 6 rolls of a babka, and I'll buy a pair of nylon.
Yeah, right.
And back in the day in Paris, they didn't even have to buy socks. The Americans would bring over. They didn't have to buy stockings. The Americans would bring over stockings and chocolates.
Yeah. And when the women ran out of that, you know what they used to do? They used to put a black line down the back of their leg, which was like to show that was like the stocking line when they used to have. I guess they had to sew them together or something. I don't know, but
that's so fascinating. I learned about that. I forget when, but isn't that interesting to put a black line up at the back?
Yeah. Because they felt they couldn't, underdressed if they didn't have stockings on. And of course, nylon was at a premium during the war. But I don't know. I remember we went to a wedding. One of my wife's best friend's daughter was getting married in Arizona. They live in the Phoenix area, and the husband of the bride, the girl's friends came in, and before the ceremony, and this one guy shows up in a T-shirt.
Oh, gosh.
And he really did. A T-shirt and shorts, and the father of the bride kicked him out. He said, "Get out of here." Yeah. You can't, if you don't know how to get dressed, don't come here. And he kicked him out.
You catch the next wedding.
Yeah.
It makes me angry at myself because at my son's wedding, my ex-wife's cousin's husband shows up. He's wearing, I don't know if he was wearing jeans, I think so, jeans and a T-shirt.
Really?
And I should have walked over, but it's not my cousin, so I didn't.
Yeah.
But you know what? Why don't you go home? Because that's, like you say, it's awful.
It is. It really is.
Good for the guy who kicked him out. Good.
Yeah. Now, one thing and one thing also in this area, when I used to go out and interview CEOs and people like that, in the technology field, 9 times out of 10, the person I'd be interviewing would not be dressed well. I mean, dressed up, as we used to say, dressed up.
Yeah.
A lot of them would wear open collared shirts. That's fine, and slacks. Some of them, look at what is it? Steve Jobs used to just walk out in T-shirts, and so does what's his name from Facebook. Except when he appeared in Congress. Yeah, except when he appeared in Congress. Zuckerberg. Yeah.
They have FU money. It doesn't matter.
I know, that's true.
What anybody thinks.
Well, do you remember the big flap that was made when I think it was the University of Minnesota women's soccer or whatever team went to the White House and half the girls were wearing in flip-flops?
Oh, no.
To the White House? Oh, yeah, well, it made a big stink here, of course, because it was Washington. But, I mean, who in their right mind goes into the White House in flip-flops?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
This is kind of off the subject. Which way do D.C. voters vote generally? Are they Democrats or Republicans?
Oh, yeah, overwhelmingly so.
Overwhelmingly Democrats?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
There was one woman Republican, she was actually a Jewish woman, who was on a city council, and she would every time there was an election for mayor, she would run, and she would finish so far in the back. I mean, she had no chance of ever winning in Washington. And I know it is off the track, but the other thing is that Northern Virginia used to be bright red. Northern Virginia, where the population centers are, has turned decidedly blue. We haven't had a Republican in state office now in probably 10, 12 years.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. And none of them get dressed. What's that?
You mentioned a word before, haberdasher.
Yes.
and I have breakfast on Saturdays with a group of men, and this one guy, he repeats himself all the time. But the point is, if Harry Truman is mentioned, this guy always said, "Oh, and he was a haberdasher." And how many times do you hear that word? Well, now I can tell him that I heard it.
Right. I think it's usually in the final round of the National Spelling Bee now.
Yeah, right.
Nobody knows what that is.
And was it just hats?
No. It was all kinds of men's hats, ties, shirts. I guess you could even get a suit there if you want, depending on some stores probably did not have suits because a lot of the suits were made for chains. Like, remember Robert Hall? Robert Hall.
Yes. Robert Hall this season will show you the reason.
That's right. You got it, Ralph.
Low overhead.
Yeah.
The one called Howard's?
Yes, I remember that one too. Yes.
Was that just one store?
We had Fields. We had a Fields department store on 82nd Street in Jackson Heights. But Alexander's was the store in the Bronx. There was nothing that they didn't have. It was a great chain.
Yeah. I bought my first tuxedo there for $100.
Not that it matters, but...
What's that?
I don't remember getting suits at Alexander's.
Oh, yeah, you could get suits. Like I said, I got my first tuxedo there.
Oh yeah? I haven't gotten my first tuxedo yet.
I
don't have one.
Your first tuxedo. How do you wear out a tuxedo to buy a second tuxedo?
Well, I started wearing it to work on a daily basis because I was getting very frustrated. I thought I'd start a trend, but it never caught on.
Didn't work, but
no.
I'm sure you've started other trends that have caught on.
Well, I did try to get the flip-flops removed by wearing wooden dust shoes. That didn't work either. Yeah, I made too much noise in the halls. They said they were complaining. They said,
nice. Years ago, when I was doing a club in Kansas City, I took a walk one afternoon and passed a haberdasher.
Yay for the work.
Or a tuxedo place, and I was feeling very good, and I bought 3 tuxedo shirts, and I'm still waiting to wear them. I wore one of them in a scene in an acting class, I think. But I thought, I'm going to be doing a lot of gigs, and I have to wear a tuxedo. Never happened.
That is unusual, I would think.
Better to have the clothes and not need them than to need them
and
not have them.
Well, that's true. That's true. But
I found what I found, which surprised me at first, was that tuxedos are very comfortable. Unlike some suits that, like wool suits and things like that, that are heavy, tuxedos seem to be, the two I've had have been rather lightweight and quite comfortable. If you get, the shirt is the thing you have to watch for, because that's where the collar gets kind of tight, and that can be a pain. But it's just a question of knowing what to wear, where you are. And I think we've talked about on this show, Michael and I grew up in a very, very well-dressed neighborhood because we had, Ralph Lipschitz, Lauren, and Calvin Klein in the neighborhood. So you had to be dressed. They would mark you down.
Right. Right.
I will say that
neighborhood kids would just come at you. Does that match? You can't play basketball unless your socks match. Come on. Now.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
3 or 4 times a year, I will wear a cummerbund.
Just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
And nothing else.
Well, I don't know about that, but a nice T-shirt that goes with it.
Laundered, yes.
Laundered. Oh, yes. Yes. But
and
nice
iron. My mother used to iron the T-shirts. As a matter of fact.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I bet.
Those were the iron the T-shirts days that I reflect upon. All those.
I think it's interesting.
Love that I never got, but I think about the T-shirts.
And the T-shirts, I'll bet your T-shirts were really T-shirts with the little sleeves, Yeah. I think Jews always wore those.
Oh, that's right. There were the wife, what they call now the wife beaters.
Yeah. The singlets, I think they're called singlets.
I don't understand the concept of that.
No, yeah.
You wear a T-shirt because you may perspire, and if you're going to perspire, it's going to be from under your arms.
Yeah, so why wear the other thing? Yeah.
Right.
Why wear the other thing? Besides, you got to look goofy to the woman that you're with.
If that's all you're wearing?
Yeah, that's all right.
Socks on.
Oh, no.
Your
no socks on.
T-shirt. Takes all the thrill out of it, I'm sure.
There are certain ethnic groups whose I won't further identify that seem to prefer that singlet look, especially the ones with the hairy arms. And and there are some ethnic groups that where I think when the kids are born, they're given.
Those women that you're talking about cannot help that they have hairy arms.
So no, I thought the women, the men. Yeah, I'm talking about the men.
Oh, I thought it was the women.
But maybe it's because that they have free range to slug their wives and girlfriends,
Yes.
But I
don't shave
never.
Me Argentina.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it's like this. Well, we don't have to get into this too, Ken. But I said I never worn boxer shorts. I don't like them. They're uncomfortable. I don't know why people wear them, why men wear them. I know why women wear them because they're comfortable for women. But now a number of men I understand are turning to silken ladies' underwear. They find it very comfortable. Yeah, that's what I read. I certainly.
Yeah. And there are some of us who what they call commando.
I assume I know what that means.
I thought that was the name of a Jeff Chandler movie.
Could have been. And now that we've got the scoop, Jeff Chandler didn't wear underwear.
Well, there you go.
Where it started every week on this show. All right, I'm going to start with you, Michael. An embarrassing moment in the life of Michael Preminger. Used to be Pomerantz, remember?
Yeah.
Pomerantz. I can't say. I know. Well, one time on stage, if that's can consider.
Oh, that's
embarrassing.
A great one.
I followed a folk singer at the bitter end in New York, And
in the village.
I was with a friend of mine, David Brenner, not to drop a name, but I was with David, and I said, I'm going to do 20 minutes. And so when I get to 15, just hold up 5 fingers to tell me that I have 5 minutes left. And the singer gets on, and there's this girl, and she's very low-key and very serious. And she says, I'd like to do a song now that when I first did it, there was a boy in the front seat, in the front row, and he was very sad, and I sang this song to him, and I made him very happy, and we've been together ever since. And everybody went, oh, isn't that sweet? And then she sang the song. Okay. So now I go on. I say, I just want to tell you that one time I was about to do a show, and there was a girl up front. And I said, I'd like to dedicate this joke to her. And I did the joke, and she smiled, and they started booing me.
Really?
Because they knew you were...
I was making fun of the folk singer.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like death after that. I mean, just nothing. I mean, they would... Nothing. So I said, thank you, good night, and walked off.
Now, that comes under what we were talking about. You got to know your audience sometimes.
Yeah, right.
Not always. I would think always, yeah.
And I want to ask you, Michael, did you have the kind of act where you could adapt your act to where you were playing, or you just had your act, take it or leave it?
I would say I pretty much had my act, but I just thought that I was being clever that night.
It was.
It wasn't. I did the same thing on the Tonight Show, and this was David. I was with David too, and he said, "Oh, I have an idea for when you go on," and. I went on, this is on national television. Now, this is not funny because it turned out to be not funny. And I don't know how I had the guts to do it. And I come on and I said, I just want to say the last time I was on, I made a mistake. And it was supposed to be, the end of the joke was supposed to be about a tiger, not an elephant. Now, I don't know why I thought that was funny. Well, the silence spread through the studio and across America. I mean, you could just, it was like, so I really goofed.
How did you recover from that?
Do you have kinescopes or
I don't
some
think
sort
I
of
did.
recordings of your appearances on The Tonight Show, Michael?
Yeah.
Oh, so you have that? Oh, wow, that has to be pretty cool.
Some of them were. My favorite one was, I still have to try and get is anyway, my best time was a friend of mine happened to have taped the show, so it's in black and white and it's jumping all over, and I'm still trying to get a good version of that one particular date.
Was that a national TV or was it a club?
No, this was, again, The Tonight Show.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, that must be available somewhere, I would think.
Yeah. But,
as someone who has done comedy, Michael, I just want you to know I'm speaking for all the comedians who never got on The Tonight Show. And whatever comic ever got on, they idolize. There's something about them. It's a big regret of every comedian that came up in our time is not getting on it. So I want to just tell you again what an accomplishment to get to the point in your career.
I didn't tell that story. It was more a story about him being embarrassed. You ever been embarrassed with a girl?
Have I ever not?
Yeah, have ever not?
but that's another story for another
that's
stage.
Maybe that's nothing to talk about. Yeah.
That was another performance that went awry.
That was
Thank
another
you very much.
sorry lady moment.
Yeah.
And a bunch of those. Oh, a bunch of those.
Oh, yeah. Those moments evoke the look, what I call the look. And I think that can be anywhere. Every man who's ever known a woman, including their mother, their grandma, they know the look. So it often comes with most embarrassing moments.
I don't mean to interrupt, but if you get the same look from your mother or grandmother that you do with someone you're, shall we say, being very friendly with, I think you're in a lot of trouble.
You know, and that's why I'm in therapy. I talk to somebody. He says we can work it out. See, it's going to be a long time. You're going to have to come back every week for a long time. And I'm working it out. I'm working it out. And their jealousy, I don't know how to cope with that. That's their issue. And, you know, it was silly. David Hubler, an embarrassing moment in the life of you.
I gave you an embarrassing moment. My no socks interview.
Got to give another one. Got to give more. That's it. That's all that you want to divulge. Nothing else embarrassed you. And he didn't even see the no socks.
Oh, there was a time. There was an evening where I was. I had borrowed my father's car to go on a date, and we brought the car back. My father was very proprietary about his car. He never used it except on the weekends, and it always sat in this parking lot where he'd gotten use of a spot there. So I pulled the car back in, and my girlfriend and I, again, a little, fooling around. Nothing really like today, We didn't snort or anything. Suddenly, there was this little tap on the window, and it was my father.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, he was looking to see what happened to his car.
Oh, that's bad. Yeah.
Well, it worked out okay. It worked out okay because
but the same thing happened to me, but I was on the subway.
And the conductor came around, right?
Yeah, there was a tap on the window. I don't know how we got there, but it was...
That reminds me of that scene from the Rod Serling Twilight Zone where the guy's on the plane and he looks out the window and there's this little gremlin kind of guy sitting on the wing. Remember that?
Oh, yes.
But it worked out okay because I introduced my father to him, and now we're coming up to our 53rd anniversary. So,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
it's okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That is kind of fantastic. 53 years.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Well, we were married in Tennessee.
It's a long relationship for me.
Well, I always thought I would like to have 50 women 1 year each.
In 1 year?
In 1 year or one a year?
Woman every year for 50, different woman for 50.
Oh. That's possible.
Then you can have a golden age anniversary that you can really enjoy.
Yeah.
Well,
suppose each one of them said at the end of the year, "Thank God that's over."
Well, no question. No question. And they say it in a note.
Yeah, right. As they run out the door.
They leave a note on the table. I've had enough.
I think they call that indentured servitude.
And conversations like that always become very like, if I had ever been with anyone. They all have that same rhythm at the end.
Mm-hmm.
They fall into that. You are absolutely, well, it's a three-syllable word. It doesn't have to take 30 minutes to get it out to tell me how I'm bad. You can say it just succinctly. It'd be nice.
And then their eyes are saying, "This man is a total schmuck. What the hell am I doing?"
And the total schmuck has to agree with him on one level or another.
Right.
Okay, yeah, I understand your point. No argument here. So you got to accept yourself for what you are. That's how I look at it. It doesn't take anything away, but it's acceptance, and I sleep well at night that way.
That's good. That's really important.
That is important, too.
Who sleeps well at night?
Guys.
Speak for yourself. You guys sleep well at night?
I am absolutely speaking for myself.
Well, until about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when the bathroom calls. But until then, I'm fine.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, to be serious for a second, the big fear of drinking a lot of water before going to bed for we upper middle-aged folks is that you will have to get up more to pee in the middle of the night. Don't let that stop you from drinking a lot of water. Before you go to bed, after you get up in the morning, it really reduces the possibility of a heart attack from what I'm reading.
Really? A heart attack? My doctor keeps telling me to drink a lot of water. I've never been a water drinker. Even when I used to do 10K races, I'd catch water maybe at the end of the race. But people walk around now with water bottles. So it's like nuts.
It's the key. And keep baby. I don't know why I'm passing on medical advice.
What, baby aspirin?
I get killed there. Keep baby aspirin and water by the bedside because most.
Oh yes, right. If you have a heart attack at night, you grab an aspirin. But no, that's not to have the baby aspirin. At that time, you need the full octane. You need the real aspirin.
At that time, I want a doctor here to prescribe the medicine. I cease being self-prescribed the very moment a heart attack comes on. I'm sure I will. That was a nice, cheery ending to a show.
But consult your doctor before you take any medication. We have to say that. We have to say that.
And consult a nurse as well. That's the most ridiculous thing.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, guys. This has been my pleasure. I enjoy our Sunday get-togethers.
It's a great time.
Embarrass myself this week so we have I have something to tell you about next week.
All right. Yeah, I don't have to plan on that. I know that's going to happen. I'll always have something to talk about.
Yeah, me
Just
too.
don't go out in a raincoat and nothing else on, Mike.
Well,
I'll have the cummerbund.
Oh, that's right.
So I'm okay.
Right. Yeah, that'll do it.
And the hat that your great aunt left you.
Yeah, with the ear laps.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, guys. We'll be back next week, same time, same bat channel, as Al Blumkin would have said were he here. Be well and sei gesund.
Bye-bye.
Adios, everybody.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks for listening. Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. Bronx Roots. Michael Preminger, David Hubler. I'm Ralph Tycho. The weak link of the entire network.